Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to a gloomy day in Northampton. Before we start today, I'd just like to apologise for the little gremlin that seemed to have worked its way into the system on the new Seekers video. Towards the end it went very quiet. I don't know what happened there. I had a look. When I looked at the original recording, there was no default on it, so just a gremlin. Anyway, welcome to a Marathon Wednesday, and today we are looking at another viewer's request. We was asked, could we do Green Day? And as on this channel we go, yes, of course we can. So we're going to look at Green Day today. Now, Green Day are a band that I've not got much stuff by them, but I do like them. It's one of them where a lot of sort of greatest hits albums is enough for someone like myself. But as all the more modern rock bands, I think this band really do kick and are quite heavy in places. So I don't mind this band at all. They've produced 13 albums in their career. They've been a power trio for most of it. Formed in '87 by Billy Joe Armstrong and Mike Dirnt. The original drummer was John Kiffmeyer, and then Trey Cool came in, and they've had one or two other people, and they have guests appearing on most of their albums. Listening to all these albums, I found them all really good, every single one of them. There's ones that I preferred more than others, so you know, some of these were the first time I'd listened to these whole albums, so this is how I've seen it. It was a good, enjoyable listen, and I've sort of now added it to my library on Spotify because I think they're a really good band. So, coming in at number 13, we have their most current album. It was released in 2020. Now, it's got a rather rude title, but it's also known by the censored title of Father of All. And then it's something about mother pluckers, if you get the meaning. So on here we've got Billy Joe Armstrong on the lead vocals and guitar, Mike Dirnt on the bass, and Trey Cool on the drums. So the first track on here is sort of the title track called Father of All. It's okay, it's very melodic rock music. I've got no problem with that. It's got a really good bass line from Mike Dirnt. So yeah, well, that one's okay. Fire, Ready, Aim. It's okay. It doesn't sound unfamiliar to the last track. It's the same sort of riff. Then we get Oh Yeah. My favourite track on here. It reminds me of sort of the early 70s rock stuff, you know, the trio bands you used to get in the 70s. I like this track. It's really good. It really reminds me of a heavier Budgie, that sort of thing. It's even heavier than Budgie. You know, they were quite heavy, and it's a good track. I like that one. Meet Me on the Roof. Bit monotonous. It sounds very, if they're going through the motions on that one, it's not entertaining, not very memorable. Then we get I Was a Teenager. Love the bass line on this. Pretty good song. Solid stuff. A Stab in Your Heart. It's got a bit more body in this. This has got that classic rock feel to it. The guitar solo from Billy Joe is pretty good as well. I like that one. Sugar Youth, another good track. Got a really nice riff at the start, very distinctive guitar solo, really good stuff. Junkies on a High, not too bad. It's a little bit different, bit funky in there, the funky bass line. I like that. Take the Money and Crawl, one of these more plastic tracks on the album. And the last track is called Graffitier. I like this one. Got a bit of punch to it, and I like songs that have a bit of punch. Okay, this is not a bad album. but they seem to be just playing on the same chord through most of the album. There's not as much originality on this. There has some good tracks on here, but I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 12, we have a back in 2012 time, they did these 3 albums, and they were called Uno Dos Tres, and this is Tres, which is the 11th album and the final of the Uno Dos Tres trilogy. And this came out in 2012. We've got Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt and Trey Cool. Joining them on this one is Jason White on the guitars, Tom Kitt on string and horn arrangements. First track on this one is called Brutal Love. I like this song. So the arrangement is so 60s ballad, and the strings really work on that track. Good stuff. Then we get Missing You. Really do like this one again. Mike Dirnt's bass line is proper funky sounding, rich, really good. The 8th Avenue Serenade, I must admit this is a bit lacklustre, and I do find the later albums of Green Day a little bit lacking of originality. The sort of, I don't know if they've run out of ideas or I don't know, but they don't have the same punch as them earlier ones. It's an okay track. And then we get Drama Queen. I love this. It's because it's a bit different. You've got this really nice acoustic guitar in it, and the little piano line really adds to this track. Then we get a track called Ex-Kid. It's the same chord all the way through. I mean, I know there's a lot of bands I like that just live off one chord, but it's not memorable. It's okay, but it's not memorable. Then we get Sex, Drugs and Violence. It's got a real punk feel to this, got lots of energy, pretty good track. Next one is A Little Boy Named Train. Got a driving bass line from Mike Dirnt and some great guitar work here. I can tell there's 2 guitars on it. It sounds really good, like that one. And then we get Amanda, bit of a repetitive riff all the way through, doesn't do much for me. Walk Away, I like this one, great vocal from Billy Joe, absolutely really good. Then we have a track, and I do apologise for swearing a little bit. It's called Dirty Rotten Bastards. I like this song though. It's got a Celtic feel to it. The guitar solo about 3/4 of the way through is absolutely dynamite. Absolutely brilliant one. 99 Revolutions, more that just ploddy rock riff that's through this album. It's not memorable. Then The Forgotten, great piano work on this one. It's a little bit different. I like it when they go a little bit different because they are exciting tracks, and that's a really good track. There's some really good tracks on this album, but the majority of it is very non-memorable. It's that same chord, same chord, same riff, different lyrics. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 11, we have Uno, which is the 9th, and it was released on the 21st of September 2012. I think when was the other one released? I think those were all released around about the same time. Let's check the other one. Yeah, around, within a few months of each other. This is the first one, Uno. Joining Billy, Joe, Mike and Trey is Jason White again, and Rob Cavallo on keyboards. First track on here is called Nuclear Family. This is a typical Green Day track, lots of energy, different textures, and the drumming's fantastic from Trey. Like that one a lot. Stay the Night. Um, I've come to the conclusion with these three albums that you get the first riff on the first track, and they sort of carry it on through the album. It's the same with this one. It's just a rehash of it. It's okay. I don't mind it, but it just seems a bit repetitive. Then we get Carpe Diem. I like this one, although the riff just sounds a bit like I Fought the Law by the Clash, but it's still good. Great drumming from Trey on that one. Let Yourself Go, my favourite track off this album. Lots of energy again. Trey's drumming on this is fantastic. Then Kill the KJ. I like this track as well. Got a really good riff on there. It's a little bit different from the others. Strong bass line as usual from Mike. Fell for You. It's alright. Nothing special. Lost Control, again, not very memorable. It's the same riff on the first track. Then we get Troublemaker. I love the start of this. You got the drums and your guitar, and then you get that chunky sort of riff that I like. Really solid track. Angel Blue, more than driving bass lines. Love the solo on this. Terrific track. Sweet 16, it's alright. I don't dislike it, just not very memorable. Rusty James starts well, really strong riffs, and then it just fades into the same old riff that occurs all through the album. And then the last track, Oh Love, great riff at the start, it's pretty good. Mixed bag on this one. There's some really strong tracks on here, the ones that have got that different riff to it, but it gets a little bit overshadowed by, I think, some of the monotonous tracks as well. So I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. Coming in at number 10 then, we have DOS, which is the 10th album. This one was released on the 9th of November 2012, and it's the second in the trilogy. It's Billy Joe, Mike Dirnt, Trey Cool with Jason White doing some extra guitars. See You Tonight, this is a sort of a little acoustic thing. Some nice harmonies on this. It's okay. Second track, it's a swear one. It's called Fuck Time, but it's written as F star time. It's okay. It's got a great guitar solo on it. Not too bad at all. Stop When the red light flash. Love the drumming from Trey on this. I love how this builds up, and the riffs are good, and then you get a great guitar solo. Lazy Bones, just another solid track. Then we get my favourite track on here called The Wild One. Great guitar solo on it. It's really good. Great drumming. Make Out Party. The riff in this is strong. Great vocal from Billy Joe on that. Stray Heart. Brilliant bass line from Mike Dirnt. It's a foot tapper this is. I like that track. Ashley. I like this post-punk sound. Excellent track. Baby Eyes, another solid track. Lady Cobra, I love the energy in this. Billy Joe's vocal is pretty awesome on this. Then we get Nightlife, that sort of goes back into Lady Cobra. I like the funky start to this. It's a little bit different, and then it goes straight back into Lady Cobra. Pretty good track. Wow, That's Loud. Reminds me a bit at the start like My Generation from The Who, but that's nothing wrong with that. Amy, this is really good. Billy Joe on the guitar and singing. Very simple but very strong. I'd say out of this trilogy, this is the best album of the two. In honesty, I don't know why did they do the three. I don't know. There must have been a reason, but this has got the best tracks of this, like this session. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Right, time for a little drink. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we have the 12th album released in 2016. And it's Revolution Radio. And it marked the first release since the touring guitarist Jason Wright returned to his original role as a touring member. So he did not take part in these sessions. So it's back to the three-piece of Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt and Trey Cool. Somewhere Now's the opener. Nice rhythm on this. Really solid guitars, like that one. Bang Bang. This is what I call a really good crash bang wallop track. The drumming from Trey on this is just brilliant. It really holds the track together. Revolution Radio, some good riffs on this one. The good drum roll on this, it's a little bit different. There's some really good fills on the drum on that one. Say Goodbye, my favourite track on here. The drum beat from Trey really holds it. There's some hand clapping on this and it really works. Nothing wrong with that one. Outlaws, really gentle track this is. Got a really nice melodic bass line. You know, it just proves that you don't have to play at 1,000 miles an hour to get a good tune. And then, you know, then you get a little bit of the power and the riffs. Solid track. Bouncing Off the Wall, I like this. It's a bit shouty, but it's got lots of energy. Still Breathing, probably one of the weaker tracks on the album. It's a little bit lacklustre, but it's okay. Youngblood, again, it's just a little bit lacklustre on that one. Too Dumb to Die. Again, I think this was a bit of a filler towards the back of the album now, and I don't know, they're all a little bit lacklustre, these tracks. But then we get Troubled Times, which is a good song that's driven by a great bass line from Mike Dirnt. And everyone sort of follows the suit. Then we get this thing called Forever Now. It's split into 3 little parts. It's a little bit long and it sort of loses itself. I don't know why these sort of bands do these longer tracks, because they sort of get lost. They're not used to doing them. Keep it to short, sharp, punchy tracks. Leave the longer tracks to the bands that know how to do long tracks. Ordinary World. This is a really nice acoustic track by Billy Joe. Again, it's just Billy Joe, guitar, singing. Really good album towards the front of the album, and then we get to the halfway point and it starts sounding a bit the same, and it sort of goes downhill from there. But for the first few tracks are absolutely killers, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the 6th album from the year 2000, and it's called Warning. Joining Billy, Mike and Trey on this one, we've got Beaumont Tench, additional musician on Church on a Sunday. Gary Meek on the saxophone. David Campbell does the string arrangements. And we got Mistress Simone doing Dominatrix. Yeah. Interesting. First track is the title track, Warning. I really like the song. I always like this. I like the arrangement. It's got a great bass line with an acoustic guitars that works really well. Next track is called Blood, Sex and Booze, a quirky little track with some great bass playing. I like that sort of thing. Church on a Sunday. I sort of wonder if this band are really into their post-punk and punk. That's all this is. It's brilliant. Lots of energy. Love this track. Fashion Victim. I don't like this. It's very, very cheesy. I just don't like cheesy tracks. Castaway. Love the hi-hats on this. Crisp, solid rock track. Misery. Now this is a 5-minute track, and it's one of the longer tracks, and it's really good. I like the sort of the accordion that runs through this. And then you suddenly get a bit of Greek feel to it. The guitar solo is absolutely fantastic. Deadbeat Holiday, one of them non-memorable tracks that doesn't do nothing to me. Then we get Hold On. Now this to me is the total rip-off of I Should Have Known Better by the Beatles at the beginning. Doesn't do much for me. Jackass. I like this. The beginning sounds a bit like My Generation again. They've got this habit of doing little bits of other songs, but it really sounds good. I like that. Waiting, really good solo on this. One of my favourite solos on the album. Minority. Now this sounds a little bit folky in places, believe it or not. It's a good track. Then we get Macy's Day Parade, another strong acoustic sound with the strings. Really like that track. Good way to end the album. This is a really good album with some varied sounds and styles. You know, from the late 60s, the 70s. But really strong album, so I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we have the 4th album released in 1995, Insomniac. It's Billy Joel, Armstrong, Mike Dirnt and Trey Cool. First track is called Armitage Shanks. The drum in it has got lots of energy. I like how this just stops and goes on to the next track. Very, very thick. There's no sort of, but you don't think it's going to end and it just ends. I like when tracks do that. Then we get Brat, which is a very short, crisp, short, sharp, punky post-rock punk song. Brilliant. Stuck With Me reminds me of something that the Buzzcocks would have done. Really strong track. I like that. Then we get Geek, Stink Breath. These have got lots of sharp, punchy tracks on here. This is only about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Great bass line from Mike. Solid track. No Pride. I love this. Again, great bass line. It really just feel your bass come when you listen to this. You can feel it in your chest. The drums are pretty good on this. It's an all-round track. Then we get Babs Vavuva Who. Good punchy track. Great riffs on this. Can't not like that one. Then we get 86, another solid track. Some really good drumming from Trey. Then we get Panic Song, my favourite song on here. I just love the bass line. Very Stranglers. That's probably why I like it. It's brilliant. Great guitars in that. Solid track. Stuart and the Avenue, another stunning bass line from Mike. Really drives the song along. Brain Strew. Some really good heavy riffs on there. And then it gets into this sort of ploddy melodic rock track, which is really good. Jaded, typical punk song. 1 minute 30, sharp, straight to the point, bang, lots of energy. Then we get Westward Sign, another really short track, lots of energy, great bass line, terrific riffs in this. Then we get Tight Wad Hill, one of the weaker tracks on here. It's not got the same beef as the rest of the tracks. Walking Contradiction, sorry. Another good track to end the album, solid. As I said, what I like about this album, it's got the short, sharp, punchy, punky rock songs. They're all about 2 or 3 minutes long, makes this a very solid album. So I'll go with this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, then coming at number 6, we've got the debut album from 1990, 39 Smooth. It was the only band to feature drummer John Kiffmeyer. So it's Joe Kiffmeyer, Billy Joe Armstrong and Mike Dirint. First track is called At the Library with Waba Sukawasaka. Mouthful that is. Really good track, lots of energy, great drumming here from John Kiffmeyer, solid track. Then we get Don't Leave Me. This reminds me of so much of them early Police albums, the first 3 albums by Police. It's got, with all that grunge going around, this was pretty good. Solid track. There I Was, basic but good at the same time. Raw. There's nothing wrong with a raw basic track. Disappearing Boy, I like this again because there's so much energy going into this track. The bass line for Mike is absolutely brilliant. Then we get Green Day, my favourite track, purely on Mike's bass line. Absolutely stunning. Going to Pasquale, solid track. Again, it's Mike's bass line that really is prominent on there. 16, love the opening riff on this one. Gets you hooked straight away. Good sort of track. Road to Acceptance, so post-punk. It's got that even down to the sort of John Lydon vocal from Billy Joe. Absolutely fantastic. Rest. This is probably the least favourite track on here. It's a bit dreary, but I like the guitar, but it's the vocal delivery that lets it down for me. The Judge's Daughter, the last track. I think this is a filler. It's not very good. But this is a very solid debut album from Green Day. You can see there where their roots are there. I think they're really into post-punk and the Police. I love the rawness of this one. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the second album released in 1991, and it is called Kerplunk. Old game I used to have. Remember the marbles and the straws. This was the first album that featured Trey Cool on the drums. So it's just Mike, Billy Joe and Trey. First track on this one is called 2000 Light Years Away. First thing you notice that the different drumming styles between John and Trey. Trey's are a little bit more bassy and beefy, and I love this track. One for the Razorbacks. Again, it reminds me so much of listening to them first 3 Police albums with them little guitar bits. Excellent little track. Welcome to Paradise. Best thing about this is the bass line about halfway through. It's really groovy, and I love the guitar effects on this track. Oh, I've got an itchy nose. Sorry, folks. Then we get Christie Road, more driving riffs than Billy Joe. Lovely track. Like that one. Private Ale, best track on the album. This has got a mixture of punk and heavy metal. Solid track. I do love them really heavy riffs. Dominated by Love Slave, a bit bluegrassy. You wouldn't expect that on a Green Day album, but you got one. It's okay. One of My Lies. The bass line again from Mike is really good. He is a fantastic bass player. Really drives these songs along. 80, great bass line again. Can't emphasise how good the bass on these tracks are. Great track. Android, the riffs on here from Billy Joe are fantastic. Solid stuff. No One Knows, another bass dominated track. Highlight of the track. Who Wrote Holden Caulfield? Bit of a filler on to end towards the back, and then Words I Might Have Ate. Another song bass driven, really sort of 60s vibe to this one. Yeah, in them early days, very post-punk sound, but I like this album quite a lot. I've played this one 2 or 3 times now. I'm really getting into this album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. More drink. Okay, then coming in at number 4, the 5th album, Nimrod, released in 1997. Billy Joe, Mike Dirnt, Trey Cool. We've got some additional musicians on here. We've got Petra Hayden on the violin, Conan McCullum on violin as well, Gabrielle McNair, Stephen Bradley on horns, and David Campbell arranges the strings. First track on here is a track called Nice Guys Finish Last. Really good start to this. Of course, it's Mike's bass line that is the killer. Hitching a Ride, my favourite track. I love the violin on this. This is from Petra Haddon. Really adds to the track, gives it some atmosphere. The Grouch, another of these post-punk tracks from the 70s. Great track. Billy Joel sounds good on this. Redundant. It's got a really nice melody, a very catchy tune, some nice guitar work on that one. Scattered, solid track. Just plenty of, just what it says on the tin on that one. All the Time. Solid again. There's some really good, strong tracks on this album again. Worry Rock. A bit teeny bop rock song. I'm not into teeny bop rock. Then we got Platypus, I Hate You. This is very Ramones. Nothing wrong with that though. I like that track. Uptight. There's some slidey guitar on this. Pretty good. Then we have an instrumental called Last Ride In. Interesting. Very laid back. Very jazzy fusion. Bit different for them, but it worked. Then we have Jinx. It's okay. Bit of a filler track for me. Then we get Horshinka. I like the guitar on this. It's a different change of pace. It's a lot better on this. Really better than the previous track. Walking Alone. I like this. We've got harmonica now. I've got more body rock track and like the plodding sort of rock tracks. Really, really good. Reject. Very genetic. Bit of a filler track. Take back. It's just one of them annoying. No need for this. It's just 1 minute and 9 seconds of rubbish. King for the Day. It starts well, but it sort of fizzles out into nothing. Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. It's an acoustic song that doesn't really go anywhere. It's a bit dreary. Prosthetic Head. Strong track to the end of the album. They've had the previous three tracks, a bit dull, but it comes back strong with that track. On the whole, a very good album. Has got a lot of tracks on this. There's quite a lot of filler on it. It's the last 3 or 4 tracks that are not very strong. I think if these songs weren't on it, it'd be a lot higher. But for the songs that I do like on here, I should give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, then coming in at number 3, we got the 7th album released in 2004. And it's the very popular American Idiot. Billy Joel Armstrong, Mike Dirnt, Trade Cool. We've got Rob Cavallo on piano again, Jason Freese on the saxophones, and Kathleen Hanna is a guest vocalist on Letterbomb. American Idiot opens the album. Big hit for them. I like it, but it's not the best song on the album in my opinion. Still a good song though. Then we get Jesus of Suburbia. It's alright, this one. It's got some great riffs on it. Sounds like Children of the Damned in places. And then a bit of Children of the Grave as well. It's a little bit ambitious, but it worked. Holiday, I love Trey's drumming on this. Really good, beefy drums. Boulevard of Broken Dreams, another solid track. Great vocal from Billy Joel, great guitar riffs, and again it just suddenly stops and goes into an acoustic. Pretty good. I like when tracks do that. You're not expecting that. Are We the Waiting? One of these anthem tracks that I'm not very keen on. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's called St. Jimmy. Very Ramones sounding. I love this. Absolutely stonking little track. Give Me No Vaccine. Great drumming here from Trey. Then driving riffs and Billy Joel on the track. She's a Rebel. It's okay. Solid enough. Extraordinary Girl. Love this. It's got tabla drums on it, which is very unusual, but it works, giving this a lot of atmosphere. Letter Bomb. It's okay. It's nice to have a little bit of different vocal on it from Kathleen Hanna. Worked well with Billy Joel. Then we get Wake Me Up, Then September Ends. This is really gentle. It's very bold when you get a band that's known for its strong riffs to do something that's as gentle as this and with a nice melody. It's a solid track. I like this. Then they do a long track again called Homecoming, and this one works. I think they've sort of mastered this on this. It keeps you engaged. It's got different moods, and I like how it changes the pace, which actually breaks the track up and makes it more interesting. What's the Name? Really like this song. Got a sort of different mood to this. Starts off with that nice chunky bass line and guitar, and then you get some gentle guitar, strong riffs. Good way to end the album. It's a very good album. A lot of people think this is their best album, but because it's their successful album, it doesn't. Sometimes it's not the best album. It's a very good album. I do play this one a few times, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then, got to number 2, and it's the third album released in 1994, and it's called Dookie. It's the 3 of them: Billy Joe, Mike Dirnt and Trey Cool. First track is called Burnout. As ever, a solid opener from Green Day. Straight into the track, bang. Riffs, great drumming. Having a blast, more strong riffs from Billy Joe. I just love that opening riff. Chomp. I think I like this early sound because it is so post-punk, and I think Billy Joel Armstrong has got the right voice to sing this post-punk sound. Fantastic little track. Long View, my favourite. The start's good. You've got that lovely drum from Trey. Then Mike comes in on his bass, really funky, followed by layers of good strong riffs from Billy Joe. Then we get Welcome to Paradise re-recording. This is one of those songs that I didn't like the version they did on. They did, but this is even better. Better than the original, which doesn't happen very often. Pulling Teeth. Great track. The solid Green Day music. Basket Case. Okay, this is overplayed. It's one of them tracks, if I never hear this again, I won't get upset. Love this track. I love Mike's mind-blowing bass line, richness. Then we get a track called Sassafras Roots. Strong album. It's Trey's drumming that really guides this one. When I Come Around. This is one of my favourite starts of a Green Day track. I love that strong riff. The bass comes in. It's a solid track. Coming Clean. More Ramones style punk. Brilliant. If you like the Ramones, you're going to like that. It's 1 minute 34, so it's just a short, sharp punch. Then we get another short, sharp, punchy track called Anemia's Sleepus. Nothing wrong with that one. It's just it's great stuff. In the End, another very short track. Proper punk song. Love the energy on this. I think when you got these short tracks, you can go 100 miles an hour knowing it's only a short track. Then we get one of these tracks with hidden tracks in. We've got FOD, Weak track, just rambles, and then Trey will start singing, and all I can say is, Trey, stick to the drums. Apart from the last track, every track on here is a absolute blast. Rock, pop, rock music. Even Barkit case is good, even though I don't want to hear it again. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.4. Before we go into number one, I have really enjoyed listening to the whole catalogue of Green Day. I love their energy, and I love how they're still, you know, they love their sort of this post-punk sound, and they've took it to the next level. So my favourite album, my number one album, comes from 2009. It's their 8th album, and it's 21st Century Breakdown. Joining Billy Joe, Mike Dirnt and Trey on here is Jason Fries on the piano, Tom Kit on string arrangements, and Patrick Warrender's string conducting. It's split into 3 acts, I believe, if I've got this right. Yes, 3 acts. So Act 1 is called Heroes and Cons, and this starts off with an intro called Song of the Century. Love this. You can hear, you know, got lots of crackles, radio atmosphere, pretty good. Then we get the title track, 21st Century Breakdown. Love the start to this. Love how this builds up. Good, really opening track. Got a Celtic guitar behind it. Very big country. Excellent track. Then you get a track called Know Your Enemy. Love the drum on here. Trey's drumming on this is absolutely brilliant. The rest of the band comes in. It's heavy, it's hard, and it's a solid track. Viva La Gloria. We got some little bit of piano here from Jason Fries. Really adds to the track and gives it some atmosphere. Solid drumming comes in. Drums sound great on this album, full stop. Then we have an interesting track called Before the Lobotomy. Very gentle guitar. You thought, oh, we got a gentle track. Then all of a sudden it changes tempo, and you got this really raunchy rock track. Excuse me. Then we got Tristian's Inferno, a driving bass line from Mike. Drumming's brilliant on this. I love the vocal that's muffled and then it comes in. I love how tracks like that. You get this sound like he's singing down a tube, and then he takes the tube away and starts singing. Last Night on Earth. My favourite track on the album, probably my favourite track by Green Day. I love the atmosphere on this one. Really nice guitar work from Billy Joe. It's a little bit different. It's got a bit of that Beatles to it. So that was the last track on Act 1. Act 2 is called Charlatans and Saints. First track of the Act 2 is called East Jesus Nowhere. Again, I love the start to this. I like the detached muffled vocal, and then it comes into the full vocal. Trey's drumming is superb on this. Peacemaker. This is Trey's best drumming on this album. Really strong. I love these sort of tracks where you get orchestra in it. Really good. Then we get Last of the American Girls. Rocking bass line from Mike. Solid beat from Trey. In comes Billy Joe. Brilliant stuff. Murder City. A great track, and it just sounds good. It's just really adds to the album. It's just powerful. It's 3 minutes and gone. And then we get Viva La Gloria, Little Girl, another track that's very catchy. Love the drums in this again. Real foot tapper, and this is one of the hidden gems on this album. Then we get Restless Heart Syndrome, a very melodic track from Green Day. Got some powerful riffs in it. Really good. That was the last part of Act 2. And Act 3 is Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. The title track is called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. This opens up another of those sort of really making a statement. Lots of drumming riffs. Really good. The Static Age, drums again. Very U2, this is solid track. 21 Guns, superb little track, melodic, slow, sound, atmospheric. American Eulogy, the as Mr. Spock would say, there's got colourful metaphors in this, but the actual music sounds good. Then we get Modern World, which is the second part. Really good riffs on that, like that. See the Light. I like the acoustic start, then goes into a fantastic track. Good way to end the album. Now, this is one of the albums I hadn't really heard of, but when I put it on, I thought, oh, my God, have they grown up and matured? There's some really good, strong playing on this one. Well put together. Love the way they split it into 3 sort of acts. It's a very good album. You've got to play this all the way through. Okay, there's 18 tracks on it, but they're all very good. There's no bad track on here. It's a shame because the last 2 albums were a little bit ordinary, but they need to come back to doing this if they're going to continue, because this is an absolute belter of an album for me. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.5. Yeah, sorry if I was getting one of them horrible mouth ulcers again, which means I'm running down low. So that's why I've sort of twisted and turned a bit. So I do apologise for that. That's all for today because it's a marathon day. But we'll be back tomorrow, and we've got a really good battle of the debuts for you. We've got 2 bands, one from America, Vanilla Fudge, and one from the UK, Deep Purple. At the beginning of their careers, they're very similar sounding. Vanilla Fudge they said that Vanilla Fudge was the American version of Deep Purple, but tomorrow we'll have a look and see if that's true. And also tomorrow it is Pick a Mix, and we go back to a top 10, and it is a trip down memory lane tomorrow, and we're going to look at the top 10 singles for January the 26th in the year of 1961. And don't forget, tomorrow night, folks, is live stream as well. So whatever you're doing today, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.